Yes.
There we go.
Welcome to it, my friends. The Sunday recap, NFL preview. Man, the season's going by fast already. I'm just trying to take it day by day. Cone, what's up? Blaine
Good
Mazel,
morning.
what's up? If you're watching right now, make sure you subscribe. Hit that like button for us, right? We want as many likes on the video as we have people in the chat. It's free to do. Make sure you're subscribed, like I said. Again, we appreciate it. Remember, your comments will get read in the chat. Questions will get read in the chat. If you do make a donation, that'll kind of bump it to the front of the line. But best way to donate, go buy some merch. Buy some Craning Company merch. Go sign up for the Daily Wire, the Daily Wire Plus. All right. Let's go ahead and get into this, fellas. Real quick, though, just kind of starting off, overall thoughts on week 3. Subpar weekend.
Yeah.
Subpar matchup weekend.
So mad there weren't any good matchups yesterday.
Oh, I know. It's ended up just delivering. I mean, definitely wasn't DiGiorno. But, Coney, just your overall just weekend theme.
All right. Top 5 takeaways. Again, anyone can beat anyone. I mean, that's like, if that wasn't proven yesterday, boys, then you're not watching college football. And I am so here for it. It's healthy for the sport. But I think a lot of teams got wake-up calls. I know we'll get into the specifics. 2, Graham Mertz. Jake, you and I saw some things in the Utah game where we were like, man, this guy is improved. He's not the reason they lost to Utah. I wonder how that'll play out through the season. Remember, preseason ranking, last quarterback in the SEC. Graham Mertz has improved, and the Gators are going to play spoiler to other teams, and we're going to break down their schedule when we talk about them. Number 3, yes, Bama has a quarterback problem, but it's way bigger than that. They have bigger problems than just the quarterback position. Number 4, the state of Colorado put on a show. What a thriller, man. And just when you thought Colorado State would just come in and they kind of talk a little trash pregame and then get blown out, they dominated that game for much of it. Colorado still finds a way to win. And then number 5, LSU clearly got the message in the second half of that Florida State game. And I think Brian Kelly has them just like last year. Hey, it's time to focus in, get serious, and let's move forward with the SEC West slate.
Without a doubt, I agree with everything you just said. Mustacheless Blaine, what do you think?
I mean, it's hard to add anything onto that. I would say, kind of agree with Coney's first take. Is no one's really a front runner. No one's really a big dog.
Nobody's safe out here.
College football today that I can turn on and watch and be like, you know what, they are clear head and shoulders above everybody else in college football, and they're going to run away with it. Even after watching Georgia yesterday, so it's going to be a rat race to the finish, boys.
All right, well, let's hop in here. We're going to get to the chat here in a second. Tennessee, Florida. All right, this is a game we talked about all week. Obviously, we previewed it. Blaine, you picked Florida. You locked Florida in. We all thought this game was going to be close. Said nobody would be shocked if Florida found a way to win this game. But I was really surprised at the way they won it. And starting with Tennessee, because I want to make sure I get this out of the way. I don't think Joe Milton played horrible at all. I don't think Joe Milton was the reason that Tennessee lost. But I don't think he is this elite player that some made him out to be. And you see really how good Hendon Hooker actually is. But make no mistake, this game, just like every other game, was won and lost up front. Florida got bullied on the road at Utah. And I thought Cole Kublik made a great point in our Saturday game day show that Florida was going way too much east and west running the ball. Against Utah, they were much more downhill. Trevor against Tennessee last night, Trevor Etienne, a $172, a tud, 23 carries. Montrell Johnson Jr., yeah, he only had 23 yards and a touchdown on 12 carries, but he was kind of that bowling ball, that fixer a little bit. And then you look at Graham Mertz, that run game opened up the play action. That run game opened up the intermediate game. And if you look, the shots they did take, they hit a couple of them, but it was a very balanced effort. It was a very efficient effort from Graham Mertz. And I think one play kind of summed up kind of who Graham Mertz is, because to be honest with you, I think Graham Mertz, we talk about Deion Sanders saying, oh, I took it personal. I think Graham Mertz took a lot of this offseason talk personal. That's what it looks like to me. He was tired of everybody telling him how bad he sucked. And, you know, I'm not saying Graham Mertz is a great player. I'm not saying Graham Mertz is going to win the Heisman, but he's playing better than what I thought. And that one play on third down where he scrambled out to his right and pump faked the guy and ran for the first down to extend the drive, he just has moxie, right? He's not the best looking person at the bar, but he has some sneaky charm, right? So it's a great win for Florida. If I'm a Tennessee fan, I would be more worried about getting bullied on the line of scrimmage when Tennessee's upgraded so much in the trenches with Josh Heupel. And I don't think the referees were the reason that Tennessee lost this game.
Blaine?
No, I'd agree. Look, I'm not going to take my victory lap really right now. I'll probably do it more tomorrow on the show. But, my takeaways from this game is I don't think Joe Milton played terrible. I agree with Jake. I don't think Joe Milton played terrible. He has some good moments. There's still some inconsistency in there, but I think he did play a little bit better. My biggest letdown in this game was Tennessee's defense. That's all we raved about, coming into this game. Their front seven got absolutely dominated. Billy Napier did everything he wanted to do in this game from the start of the first quarter. And good for Billy. I think he needed this. Graham Mertz looked good. You go back to the Utah game, you saw something that you liked. 2 receivers for Florida Pearsall. They had another one get hurt who caught 5 receptions in the first drive, go out with a collarbone injury. Up front, they look good, and obviously you have the backs. And I thought your DBs would be able to hold up against Joe Milton. So good for Billy. Billy needed this one. Billy needed this.
It bad.
Going back to the back to the chalkboard for Josh Heupel and the boys. But I don't know, Joe Milton just not good enough to win you these games.
Yeah,
right?
that's a good way to say it too. Yeah, this one smelled funny to me all offseason for one reason, because it was in the swamp, which is a tough place to win. Tennessee knows better than anyone. They hadn't won there since 2003. But in the final moments of our picks, I didn't have the guts to actually go with Florida. Blaine, you did. Congrats on that. And like you said, yeah, I thought Joe Milton could come in and play in a way that was inconsistent enough that it cost Tennessee the football game, and he clearly didn't do that. But there were other problems with Tennessee. I mean, you're using your final timeout with 8 minutes left. There's an offside on 4th and 1, that Graham Mertz gets you to jump, the oldest trick in the book. So I don't know. If Joe Milton just played bad and had a couple tipped interceptions, pick 6, and the game's close and Florida won, that's how I thought this game would go. What I wasn't ready for is Florida having these long, sustained drives and possessions. The very first drive, they go for 7 minutes and 26 seconds to start the game and got 0 points out of it. So you don't even score on that drive, but still you set the tone for the game, and that was a win because they kept Joe Milton in this high tempo, high flying offense on the sideline for Tennessee. And like I said in the schedule, we've been talking about Florida, that they have one of the toughest schedules in the country. Well, that's because you play really good football teams. And when you play really good football teams, there's a chance for you to be spoiler. We just saw it with Tennessee, and boys, they're going to have Georgia on the schedule, obviously, at LSU on the schedule, and then they play Florida State too, one of their biggest rivals, and all 3 of those teams have postseason aspirations. So don't be surprised if Florida plays spoiler to someone else throughout the year.
No, without a doubt, and it's funny, it kind of flipped, and Florida needed that drive after Tennessee scored to go up 7-0 to get that momentum back. But it seemed, unlike the Utah game, the team that made the biggest mistakes in the big moments wasn't Florida, it was Tennessee. It was the opponent. Now, there were some bad breaks. Referee accidentally kicked the ball on 4th and 2, let Florida sub a few players in. But that game, I mean, again, that game didn't come down to that one play. Florida won that game up front. But I want to get to the chat real quick, Blaine. Then I want to get to LSU, speaking about winning up front.
All right, let's go to Jimbo Eagle with the $5 donation. Jimbo, appreciate it, brother. Garrett Schrader is an absolute magician. Jeremiah Wilson and Marlo Wax are absolute ball hawks. Fact. Hashtag Cuse mode.
Yeah, big win by Syracuse. We didn't know yet because they played Colgate and then Western Michigan. Like I said, one of them is softer than a toothpaste, and the other one is Colgate. So it was a big win by Syracuse. You really saw, getting to 3-0, kind of validating themselves a little bit. Now, look, Purdue, it's a work in progress with Ryan Walters year 1. I expected more out of them. I really did. I thought this was one of the underdogs that had a chance to be able to really make some noise this weekend, even though they were only, I think it was plus 115, something like that, to win the game. But Syracuse going on the road in an out-of-conference matchup at the Big Ten. Another nice win for the ACC when you're looking at their non-conference record. So congrats to them. And, yeah, we got to start taking them serious now.
Schrader, 195 yards and 4 TDs. Oh, that's rushing, by the way. Not even his passing yards.
Huge,
he's fun to watch, man. He's just a gamer. He's a gamer, man.
He really is.
Let's go to Yo, That's Rough for the $2 donation. It says, you come into Boston, you better bring your A game.
That one shocked me. That one shocked me.
That was that and the way Alabama wasn't able to dominate up front. Those were the 2 things that probably shocked me the most over the weekend. Jordan Travis getting hurt right before halftime. It was almost an absolute disaster. Look, the Castellanos kid for Boston,
not bad.
He's got some
good,
witch
man. He's
really
I
watched him against Holy Cross when they struggled to win that game. It just shows you how crazy college football is. But look, at the end of the day, sometimes you just got to survive. Sometimes you just got to survive games. And Florida State was able to survive. Boston College, I mean, you had the Wells Crowder tribute, the red bandana for 9/11. It was an emotional game. Boston College jumped out on them. You know, that Bond kid had that run after the catch where he kind of used the ref to screen, look, hey, it counts. But no, it was back and forth. I do think that was a face mask at the end. I do think it was a face mask at the end. Would I have called it? I don't know. I didn't think it was so blatant that it looked like more of a grab and release than a pull, but I can understand by rule why you would call it. But a hell of a game. I mean, you know, that wasn't the only game where a 24.5, 25-point favorite was in a fist fight till the end. But Boston College, man, that's a tough one. And, you know, those are the tough ones to regroup from, to be honest with you. Y'all know this. Like, not the blowouts. The blowouts, you're embarrassed. It's the man, we had a chance, 3rd and 10, break one tackle, then fumble. So it was a hell of a game. Early game, man. You're eating scrambled eggs and grits and bacon for pregame meal, not breakfast. So like this was early games.
I thought it was interesting that Florida State, Georgia, Michigan, and Texas all got wake-up calls this early in the season. Now, the last 3 of those at least still won by double digits. You know, it just wasn't, the game didn't go the way that those 3 teams expected. But Florida State, 2-point win at the end, hanging on, finding a way to win on the road. Like, let's see how that affects the rest of the season.
Yeah. Let's go to Bro Ben with the $5 donation. Ben, bro, appreciate it. He said, put some respect on Flaming Dragon. Go Gators. You scream it from a mountain, Ben.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, it's you go back and I retweeted. I went and found the conversation we had this offseason when, you know, we were asked, should Florida fans be panicking with Billy Napier? And we were all like, no, not yet, except Blaine. And then Blaine picks him to beat Tennessee. That just shows you how, like, the circle of life. But this is why you shouldn't have panicked. Even if Florida would have lost that game, you know, I would have believed the same thing. And again, I had them going 3-9, 4-8, something this year, and they still might. We got a long way to go. But, you know, it's the culture that Dan Mullen left. That was the biggest problem to me, right? You can get players in, get talented personnel in at Florida. It was that third pillar. We talk about the 3 pillars of a winning program: recruiting, development, culture. Culture takes the longest to build, right? And Dan Mullen had an awful culture and then has the balls to go on ESPN and say, well, Florida isn't what they were a couple years ago. I instantly started hoping Florida won that game just because of that. Dan Mullen, dude, shut up, dog. Like, look, nobody's doubting whether you're a great coach. You left that place in shambles, man. It recruits itself. You didn't want to recruit. You're Brian Harsin that's better at X's and O's. That's what you basically were. But the culture was awful. You and Todd Grantham was like watching a Spanish soap opera every weekend. There were people were talking about that more than they were talking about your team. So good for Billy Napier. He absolutely, deserves it. And this is why you don't panic when somebody's trying to rebuild a culture. But Blaine, you talked about how big this win was because you look at what Miami's doing right now. You look at what Florida State's doing right now. You look at what UCF's doing right now. Hell, look at what USF just did. Playing with Bama, playing in that game for a little bit with Golish over there. So, look,
and there's something about seeing the swamp packed out.
There really is.
It feels right in college.
It's cool. It's cool.
The swamp packed out. Just everything felt right yesterday. Corey Sones with a $20 donation. Corey, thank you, brother. Put some under it. I don't got any words under it. Just put it in the chat and I'll find it. CG87343 with a $5 donation. Appreciate it. Says Bama was meh. Colorado State was a banger. Very chippy. And what's up with Tennessee calling a timeout with 7 seconds left? Never mind the brawl at the end of the game. Didn't mind the brawl at the end of the game. I like it.
No, I think they were calling timeout to try and get their players composed. I think that's what that timeout was. That wasn't we're going to make you stay out here. Nobody wanted to get off that field quicker at the end than Josh Heupel in Tennessee. So they were trying to calm everybody down because you go throw a punch, well, you're out the next game. So there's a long season to go. Do what?
And you leave the sidelines?
If you leave, well, it just depends on what you're leaving the sidelines for. If you're leaving the sidelines for a fight, that's one thing. If you're leaving the sidelines at the end of the game to go shake it up with the other team while the clock's winding down, there's a little bit of a gray area there. But that timeout was to get everybody composed and say, I know you're emotional right now, just lost a big game. But Billy Napier called a timeout too, to basically do the same thing. So it did get a little chippy at the end. I'm just glad nobody got kicked out or kicked out of the next game, at least from what I saw. But let's get to Bama real quick, David.
Yeah.
Here's and I think you hit it on the head. And I'm going to lead with this tomorrow. number one, Jalen Milroe has to be the quarterback at Alabama.
Mhm.
He's got to be the starter, right? That's just blatantly obvious. If he's the starter yesterday, and I hate doing hypotheticals, I think Alabama wins that game by 3 touchdowns or more, just off his ability. You have got to mold that clay, that offense, to fit him. It's your own shot. Tyler Buckner's just bad. Okay, let's just be honest. I mean, he's out there throwing more knuckleballs than Tim Wakefield. Okay, he can't do it. That's why when they brought him in during the summer, it's like, I was like, oh my God, because you go back and watch the film, I mean, he had experience, but his experience was throwing to Stephon Gilmore's little brother at Marshall for pick sixes. Like, if you watched him throw, you knew he needed a lot of work. And Ty Simpson, look, you bring in a freshman, he looked good at times, looked bad at times, but let's put the Jalen Milroe thing away for a second. Alabama's got an offensive line problem.
Yeah.
They've legitimately got an offensive line problem. It's one thing. Look, USF threw a Dr. Seuss book at them on defense yesterday. They were dropping guys out of helicopters. Guys were popping up out of the ground. They ran more twists than a pretzel factory. But the run game yesterday for Alabama, how Alabama, with this humongous offensive line that all these people before the season were talking about, Alabama's offensive line, oh my God, it's gonna be like the arrows from 300 at the end on Leonidas, was getting stuffed by South Florida. Stuffed. You give up 5 sacks and you get stuffed crust in the run game. I mean, Alabama's got good luck against some of these. Now that LSU looked the way they look, you got Ole Miss next week, David. If they don't figure it out, I'm not as much worried about the quarterback as I am the offensive line. Because if they can't run it and can't protect the passer, it don't make a damn who the quarterback is.
It was a weird game from the jump, man. I mean, usually when Alabama loses a high-profile loss like they did last week against Texas, which they rarely do, you would pray for the team they're playing next, all right? And at South Florida, you think they just come out to make a statement. But then you see, well, this game's on the road, a non-conference game on the road, kind of weird for Alabama already. Then you have, a rain delay, and you're starting a new quarterback. Just really, really weird from the jump. And yeah, I agree with you. Like it's not great at the quarterback position, but there was a time when Alabama could have won 45-0 in that game against USF with any one of those quarterbacks playing, right? Like we've seen them do that. So I think, like you're saying, it alludes to bigger issues they have. And yeah, they have the biggest offensive line in football, not just college football, all of football, but that doesn't by itself make them a really good offensive line. On the Jalen Milroe thing, I agree. We said this when he was making mistakes against Texas, is like you would have already seen a quarterback change if someone behind him could do the job better. Now, in the middle of a game, kind of like we were talking about with Jeff Sims in Nebraska, sometimes you have to make a change just for the morale of the team, because sometimes you don't know how a guy can go out and play in the middle of a game if you have one person costing you the game. I thought this was a similar situation with Georgia Southern yesterday against Wisconsin. Quarterback 6 turnovers. At some point, you got to just do something, even if the guy behind you doesn't give you a chance. But Milroe, I agree with you. If he plays in that game, I think they win handily. So I was wondering, why didn't we see Milroe? And I don't know if you guys saw the statement from Nick Saban or not, but he described Milroe's absence from the game as an internal team thing. He said everybody has the opportunity to respond the right way when things don't go exactly like you want them to, and we played the guys that practice the best all week.
Blaine?
I tell you what, that game yesterday that was one of the worst games I've seen in a long time. There's a problem. Obviously, you have better chance of Jalen Milroe coming in there and running the ball every play, all right, than putting Tyler Buckner and Ty Simpson. It's gonna and there's no walk in the parks anymore in the SEC. I don't care if Arkansas just lost to BYU. You watch that game. You watch Auburn. You watch LSU. You watch Ole Miss. Like, there's not going to be – and I got to give kudos to Jake. Before you had Bama losing 3 games this year. Right? At this point, that almost feels like a minimum after what we saw yesterday, right? 0 sacks against Texas. There's stuff starting to happen in the Bama atmosphere like we're not used to seeing this type of weather, all right? Now, we're not used to seeing these type of things happen at the University of Alabama, because right now it's a problem. Jalen Milroe, let's not forget, he's super athletic, but he's not great. Buckner, we all knew what he was. And Ty Simpson is young, and that defense is good, but not great. So, boys, I had Bama going 11-1, but now I just don't see it.
Well, I mean, and Bama's making mistakes. I'm not used to seeing Bama make mistakes like this. It's one thing if you're just getting beat, right? I mean, there were times yesterday where Alabama just got beat in certain aspects. Now, let's be honest, USF's offense, they couldn't throw the ball. Like that was an awful offense they played yesterday. I don't think South Florida has won a combined 10 games in the last 4 seasons. When you take all the seasons, that's a bad football team yesterday. And I think Golish is going to turn around. But you're fumbling punts like that, like these penalties, the inconsistency. I mean, on understanding who you have in different stunts. It's just, man, watching Nick Saban walk off that field yesterday. If you just looked at him, I mean, I've never seen it look so heavy on him. Like that's if anybody knows, he does. And that's not saying Alabama can't turn around and fix a lot of these things. When you recruit at that level, you can. But I mean, at what point is it like this is us? Like with Mandy Moore, that show on ABC, whatever. Like this is us.
It just feels like Bama just their team's just low IQ. I mean, it's not like they're not athletic. It's not like they're great players. They don't look like they're smart football players, right? You go back to Georgia, you go back to some of Alabama's great teams. They're super fast, super strong, super athletic, but they're also smart football players. Yeah. I'm just watching Bama players make mistakes that I'm not used to Bama players making.
Yeah. All right. LSU, Mississippi State. Guys, open the show with it on Monday. And I'm not saying Brian Kelly and the staff watch Crane & Co., but we're right aligned on the adjustments that had to be made. They came out. I mean, Jaden Daniels, talk about just rising up from the ashes after the Florida State game. 30 of 34, 361 yards, 2 tuds, 15 carries, 64 yards, 2 tuds. Malik Neighbors, 13 catches, 240 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Oh, boy, went road to glory.
Thank you.
And guess what? Here's why. You want to know why? They were physical up front and set the tone in the run game. And guess what they did after that? They attacked the deep third in the passing game. And then what happens after that? The middle opens wide. You saw an offense operating at maximum efficiency yesterday. I thought you talk about pinpoint down the field, right? Jaden Daniels got the message, as David said. But it wasn't just the downfield passing. It was every third. They were attacking every third. They were hurting them in the run game at the quarterback position and at the running back position. They scored 10 points in the first, 14 in the second, 10 in the third, and 7 in the fourth. You almost scored. You would have scored double digits in every quarter had you not had such a big lead. But LSU came out and looked like the team that a lot of us thought they were going to be, and this should be a benchmark moment for LSU. And right now, you've got to be a lot more confident in LSU having a chance to go to Tuscaloosa if they can maintain that physicality. But it's all going to come back to that run game. Logan Diggs, 9 carries, 41 yards, right? They didn't – I mean, you had 163 total rushing yards on almost 40 carries, but they were hard runs, right? They were physical runs. They were downhill runs. And Mississippi State just looked inept on offense.
It's bad over there.
I mean, it is. But look, Mason Smith's a monster, dog. Like, you see the way that LSU defense operates. But, I mean, Mississippi State, they had 7 yards, like before the last drive, before halftime. It was utter domination by a very talented LSU team and what looks like a very mid Mississippi State team.
Well, like you said, LSU put it all together on offense, and if that continues throughout the season, obviously the one question everyone's going to ask every week is, where was that in week 1? Hey, that's just behind you now. The best you can do is to be consistent like this for the rest of the season, because like we said, hey, that was an out-of-conference loss. Everything you want, if you're an LSU fan, is still right in front of you. Malik Neighbors is as good as it gets, guys. I mean, he almost broke the LSU first half record. I mean, when you're getting up there with Keyshawn Boutte and Jamar Chase and names like that, you know, you've had a heck of a day. But the thing even more exciting, if you're an LSU fan to see than the offense putting it together, was the physicality throughout the game. When I saw, I think it was one of their running backs, put his head down on the sideline instead of going out of bounds, choose to run over a Mississippi State defender. That's when was that Logan Diggs on that one?
I think
you know what I'm talking about in the second half.
That kid on the sideline. Oh my!
When
God.
I saw that, that's when I was like, "Oh, okay." That's what made me say, "Oh, y'all got the message from the second half of the Florida State game." Because you didn't just lose that game; they came out and punished you. They ran the football on you. They out-physicaled you. You got that message, and so like putting it all together on offense is awesome, and it's necessary if you really want to participate in the postseason. But that physical element is what's going to help you win games week in and week out as you move forward in the SEC.
Blaine, that was LSU, right? That's the LSU
This is
that
us.
we expect to see. Yeah.
Right? This is us. You have a Lamborghini in your garage. Drive it. It's called Malik Neighbors. All right? Throw him the ball. That's what the best ones do. Malik had 9 receptions at halftime. How it has to be. The best coordinators get their best players the ball. And we all knew. Deep down, we knew. We said it on the show. Don't get fooled about what you saw at Florida State up front from LSU. 1, didn't have Mason. 2, they're good up front, guys. They're good up front. Yeah. I think Florida State, from an up front standpoint, even they got big boyed a little bit like Boston College on the defensive side of the ball. But up front on the offensive line, they're extremely good. Florida State's an extremely good football team. LSU's starting to come into their own. All right. I said there's just nothing more dangerous than a pissed off LSU team by the athletes they have. And Jaden Daniels, stop jumping. Stop.
Yeah, dude, stop.
Stop.
You and Josh Allen, what are you doing?
Both of y'all need to stop.
Jaden runs the ball. I don't care if you add 15 pounds, man. Yeah. You're going to get caught.
Blaine, how was that targeting on oh boy when Jaden Daniels jumped? How, like, that rule sucks. Like, let's be honest. Like,
there's starting to be, like, there was one, God, I can't remember what game it was, but there was one that was so bad. It wasn't a blindside block. They called it a blindside block.
Florida. That was Tennessee, Florida. That was an awful call. That was an awful call.
It's getting to the point now where, like, it's starting to affect the game and piss me off. And let me ask y'all this. Do y'all still like the running of the clock?
I mean, yeah, because it's hitting me my unders.
I'm starting to hate it.
It really is changing the game. It is changing the game significantly. But like I said, none of us would have cared at all if it was just always like that. The NFL game's like that. You know, it's just like I'm sitting there watching the Colorado State game. The length of the commercial breaks is almost unbearable. Like I almost turned off that riveting football game because I just couldn't stand it any longer. So you didn't do it to shorten the games. Like at least Major League Baseball, when they put in the pitch clock, like you can legitimately see a half hour taken off the games, but whatever.
Well, they need to do it like golf, where you have the commercials on one side of the screen and the game on the other. And another thing, speaking about unbearable, and I like to come in here and call out people personally. Rod Gilmore should not be calling football games. Like I can't do it. I was watching the Arkansas BYU game. He's the worst. Like he's actually the worst. Like I've never seen somebody hate a region of the country more than Rod Gilmore hates anything to do with the SEC. He couldn't stop talking about it. He actively roots against teams. Like, if you're gonna do that, then go start your own YouTube channel. Oh, it's BYU
Arkansas BYU.
It was awful. It's like somebody took his girl. That's what happened. It had to. Somebody from the South stole Rod Gilmore's girl. Like it had to happen. That's the only thing that can explain it. Like that's
also,
the only. Like
one
I literally
update.
Eliminated every other thing right from the list. The last one standing, somebody stole Rod Gilmore's girl from the Southeast. That has to be it.
Because I had the 4-box on, and you know you can only have audio on one, and it wasn't on that one. So thankfully, I didn't have to hear him.
I tweeted out. I was like, I would rather get waterboarded in Guantanamo than listen to Rod Gilmore call a football game. You want to get answers from terrorists? You don't have to go in there and beat them up or hold their family, you know, until they give you the answer. Just turn on Rod Gilmore calling a football game. You'll know where everybody's hiding within the first 8 minutes. There's absolutely no way. So there you go, CIA. I figured it out for you.
All right. So the big hit from that running back that we were talking about in the LSU game, the chat had an update that it was Caleb Jackson, the freshman.
Caleb Jackson.
Caleb Jackson, the freshman.
Man, let me ask y'all, did y'all notice this when y'all are watching the Colorado?
Somebody from USF ran over a Bama player, too. Absolutely.
He sunned a kid from Bama.
He did sunned him. He has to now pay child support.
Yeah, right now he's holding that kid's hand, taking him to church. Right, man, he's meeting the pastor and all the other families right now. Sunned him. Absolutely sunned him.
What did you say?
I don't know if y'all noticed this, but did y'all listen to the Colorado State game?
A lot of it.
Yeah.
The amount of slang that was getting put into that game, it was just blowing my mind.
It was
blowing my mind. Like I heard a kid got sunned. I heard he made this guy made all the other players his employees. This kid got worked. Check my swag. I'm like, what am I? Is this VH1 or am I watching a football game?
Blaine, it's like when you don't have an accent. Like I don't care. Like it really don't bother me. But it's like when you don't have an accent, like at work or like in where you live now, like me. But when I go home and see my boys, like from Alabama, I start getting that Southern accent back.
It's just weird.
Like it's like that. No, I know exactly what you're talking about. I was listening to it too. Man, I forgot what I was gonna say. But let's get to the chat real quick.
All right, let's go to G Hurt with a $5 donation. Appreciate it, G. He said, I would take Simpson, Milroe, Buckner, Joe Milton, and any Little League offensive line. Our secondary coach in East Lansing.
Oh, God. Murder.
Oh.
Hey, Cone, you remember how we talked about how maybe like Michigan State's best chance is like Mark
circle the wagons.
Comes in there, circles the wagons, and he's like, I'm telling you, though, that when we were talking about this new transfer portal era, it's so much harder to circle the wagons because guys know they have the ability to leave. That just look, Michael Penix is really good. That doesn't surprise
really good,
anybody.
man.
Holt's nasty, but Michigan State. You want to talk about just mailing?
I had that one circled, man. I didn't know it would be that bad, but I've been telling you all week minus 16. I'm like, boys, Washington is for real.
Lines of the weekend.
Now, again, the question for Washington as we move forward is, man, are you balanced enough? Balanced twofold. Are you balanced offense to defense enough? And on offense, are you balanced run to pass enough? Because when you look around that conference, man, like Washington State and now even Colorado, and like those teams are going to be playing spoilers to some of these teams. And we were already talking about Washington, Utah, USC, Oregon, and Oregon State having to all battle against each other. So the Pac-12 down the stretch is one of the most fascinating aspects of college football.
Oregon State too. I'm telling you, Oregon State, man. The more I watch them, and again, look, DJ, you didn't have to do anything special. San Diego State is anemic on offense, but I feel like we're asking the same questions about Washington as we are about USC when it comes to team balance. But I'm telling you, I picked Oregon in the preseason. The more I should have. I'm an idiot. I was in the green yesterday in betting, but I don't know why I went with La Tech -3 when I just knew that the Iowa State Ohio under was going to hit. Talked about it all week, and the Oregon -37.5 line against Hawaii was basically like robbing somebody at gunpoint.
Do y'all remember what Oregon did to Portland State? Did y'all see what Portland State?
Yeah, 91-0.
North America.
Like y'all took that Oregon loss personally, man.
Yeah, like you wanted to.
They scored on all 11 drives.
Yeah, y'all. There were some girlfriends that left after that first game. Y'all trying to get them back now, huh?
Wow.
Yeah,
if I'm the head coach, I'm like, all right, we're chopping people. We're starting to chop. You score again, we're chopping people. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but Michigan State. I mean, look at who you going to get. Who are you looking around the SEC going to get? That's the question. To me, if I'm Michigan State, you know who I go get? You know, if he'll take it. Give me Jeff Lebby at Oklahoma. Because I'm telling you right now, boys, that Red River shootout game, woo! That's they're playing defense. I know it was Tulsa, which if you want to know how good Tulsa is, just spell their team name backwards. But like if you watch that game, Oklahoma's really good on defense. I'm telling you right now, that game could end up being one of the games of the year. I just remember I said that.
All right, let's go back to CG87343 with a $2 dono. How about that 61-yard field goal by Mizzou to end the game?
Wow.
It's a great segue. I want to say this. Skip Bayless, you watch your mouth when you talk about specialists. You watch your mouth. I know they have to tell you to talk now because you just get big dogged by everybody else on first take or last take, or this takes up way too much of my time to watch, whatever it's called now. But when you watch this game, I thought both quarterbacks were pretty good. We talked about this game being the game of play action. And what was crazy, nobody rushed for 60 yards or more. You had Treshaun Ward, 10 carries, 54 yards for Kansas State. The Giddens kid had 9 for 36. They did not have a rushing touchdown. All right, Will Howard was 25 of 39 for 270 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. That fullback they got, Sennett, I absolutely love that. He's bringing sexy back to the fullback position. But Brady let him cook, right? And remember, guys, I picked Missouri to win this game during the offseason. And then I flipped on them. I flipped on them like Donnie Brasco, man. And I feel awful about it. I pulled a Fredo on them this week. Said I wouldn't be surprised at all if they won. But I had this game circled for Missouri as a win during the offseason, my little book of truth, justice, and friendship. Brady Cook, 23 of 35, 356, 2 touchdowns. I mean, the Schrader kid had 10 carries for 58 yards, but we got to be honest, man. Luther Burden,
NFL player.
Yeah, oh my God. Like, dude, he is so he just glides. Like, he took that now screen. Basically, they were trying to run the stalk and go. Kansas State played over the top. They're in zone coverage, and they spit it out to Luther Burden. And there is no angles. Like, he couldn't, there's no way he ever passed geometry class because there's no angles with this guy. He can absolutely fly. But it's not just that. You know, you have some guys that are like track guys that are really fast, but they're just really not great at football. You know, like, this dude is a football player that just happens to have Olympic speed, and he's a long strider, David.
Yeah. No, look, Kansas State's a really good football team, which makes this win all the more impressive. And, you know, one of the cool things when I was watching this game, you said it best, Jake. You said, like, Eli Drinkowitz needs this win, right? Like, that's one of the things you were saying as we were headed into this game. And I was just so proud to watch Missouri with the energy and the confidence that they had coming out. And it wasn't just the team. I mean, the fans, too. It was an awesome atmosphere to see. You can just see why, like, people get so excited about Missouri football. And that's a matchup with Kansas State that you don't get a lot. So that was cool to see. But then the actual like X's and O's on the ground, Missouri 250 of 320 yards at one point came on first down. I mean, you want to talk about being efficient on early downs. 250 of 320. Like, you're going to win a lot of football games if you're chewing up early downs like that and getting into 3rd and 2nd and short.
Blanye,
we did it, Missouri. Finally, I've watched Missouri blow more games. And look, I picked y'all before the season started. All right. Jake was there. I mean, he bowed out, Friday. But, you know, we all make mistakes. But look, Brady, someone cooked here. And yes, it was Brady. Luther Burden's an NFL player. All right. I knew that last year. All right. He is an NFL player. Kansas State, not bringing a whole lot back on defense. I knew it'd be close. I knew it'd come down to a field goal and leave it to Kung Fu Panda to hit a 61-yarder, the longest in SEC history. Good for drink.
Walk off.
Now we start building. I know they gave up almost 30 points, but I thought Missouri's defense played well, man. I enjoy watching Missouri's defense play. They play hard. They play fundamental. Man, it's just, you know, giving up a yard pisses Missouri off, and I love it. So good for
Well,
Drink.
again, I had that SEC assistant coach messaged me before the season saying, look, I'm telling you, Missouri may have one of the most underrated defenses in the country. And I don't think they played perfect. But look, Kansas State runs a difficult offense to defend. Two things real quick. You want to know the beauty of the game of football? The 2 leading receivers, hold on, as I choke to death. The leading receiver for each team, they could not be more different. Ben Sinnott for Kansas State had 5 catches for 78 yards and 2 touchdowns. Basically plays fullback, okay? That stocky white kid, you know, not unbelievably athletic, but athletic enough. Missouri's leading receiver, Luther Burden, 7 catches, 114 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's the beauty of the game of football. There's so many different types of athletes that can affect the game in so many different systems. I thought that was cool. The second thing, just like in baseball, like especially growing up, fat kids can hit. Okay. Like if you see a fat kid stepping up to the plate, he may not be able to field that great. They probably put him over in first, right? He's probably eating curly fries in between innings and drinking sodas. But I can guarantee you one thing. He can hit because I was one of them, okay, when I was 12. If anyone knows, it's me. Fat kids can hit and they can kick. You should never be more afraid if there's a kicker coming up to try and kick a walk-off field goal against your team if he's fat. Like that little 9-year-old that Georgia put out there yesterday to kick. Like you see him, all right? All these little skinny guys, all right. You know, they put a fat kid out there. It's a problem. He's gonna make it. I don't care if it's 61. Because guess what? You want to know why? Fat kids don't get a lot of love.
Not a lot of other options, man.
Hey, he's the same one who missed like a 20-yarder against Auburn.
Yeah, he missed a 20-yarder to beat Auburn last year. Like
if he couldn't kick, they would have already moved him to O-line. That's how you know they can kick.
Like, listen, it's hard enough to get a data. My father used to say when he played, he used to have to make 15 tackles a game to get a date after it because he wasn't the best looking guy. Imagine being the kicker, right? Like, and you're a bigger body, you're husky. You know what I'm saying? It's already tough enough in these streets, right? So you got to make the kick. I knew when a Gus's Gloop trotted out there yesterday, that kick was going in. Mm-hmm. I knew it was going in. 100% knew it. But really happy for Missouri. And, man, that was a hell of a game. Man, I want to get to Colorado here in a second, but I do want to get to the chat blanks. I know it's buzzing. I know it's buzzing right now. Buzz
Let's
like.
go to Brad David, the man with 2 first names. $2 donation. Thank you, Brad and David. Said, what do y'all think of Mike Bobo as a play caller?
Dude, I tweeted at halftime. I was like, at what point is Georgia going to take the training wheels off of Carson Beck? Like he wasn't throwing balls past 10 yards. There were just a lot of runs.
Is that Mike or Kirby?
And then to start the second half, here we go. Screen game outside, starting to work it deep shot. That first drive of the third quarter, I was like, okay. Like, I was like, all right, they remember now. But I will say, hats off to South Carolina. Again, I think they took a page, and we said all week, and I went on Spurs Up Show on Friday and said this. The only way South Carolina's going to be able to move the ball is if they try and supplement the run game with the quick passing game and the screen game.
And
what did they do that
they
first
did it
drive?
good enough. I didn't think that. Yeah, I agree. The tunnel screen TD early in the game, but they kept it close without having a good game plan, in my opinion. To me, one of the best game plans I've seen this season was what Colorado came out against TCU, because Colorado basically said, we know our strengths and we know our weaknesses, and we're going to play to our strengths. And they come out there and they beat TCU on the road. I thought that's what we might see from South Carolina. Yes, I know they had the tunnel screen for the early touchdown, but still way too much of Spencer Rattler dropping back 3 and a hitch, staying in the pocket, and then having to scramble. I thought we could use his legs right from the get-go with moving the pocket, more quarterback design runs, things like that. But hey, even despite that, they stayed in the game, and they're right in it in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, well, I mean, you go against Kirby and the boys who are probably the best in college football making adjustments at halftime. No panic was ever set in for me in this game at all. You knew Georgia was a better team. I don't really know what game plan you can come up with to try to get work for 4 quarters against Georgia when you gave up 9 sacks against North Carolina.
Spencer Rattler's good.
You really lost, good. South Carolina, you lost, but you got a hell of a lot better.
The question on Mike Bobo, part of me does feel bad for Mike Bobo a lot of times. He played quarterback there. He's coached there a lot of times. And then the university finally breaks through after 40 years and wins back-to-back championships. And you're not the OC for that. But then when Todd Monken leaves, you come back and you're the OC, and fans are all –
you're LeBron's kid.
It's just like it's so LeBron's easy. Kid. I just hear Georgia fans always criticizing.
It'll never
Mike
be good
Bobo.
enough.
Well, Carson Beck, do we believe he showed? Is he good enough in a year where there's a lot of parity? I don't know yet. I think the jury's still out on Carson Beck. I did see some things that I like. He does spin a pretty good ball. He just seems late to me. Like when it's not predicated, hey, you're spinning the bubble out here. Hey. Obviously it's quick game passing game. It just seems a little late to me.
Well, he made a couple decisions under pressure that in big games will cost you.
A couple toward the sidelines too.
That ball he threw through the flat, that could have been an absolute pick six. He actually ended up getting it over the guy. I don't know. I feel like I would say yes, because just there's not another team out there that feels so good that they can just walk in and beat Georgia, right? I think Carson Beck will be limited enough. Kirby will do a good enough job. They'll rely on that defense and run game, and they'll take the part.
Again, though, you look at someone like Florida, right? Like Florida might mess around and sneak up on you, and I do agree with you for the most part in the regular season. But you find yourself in the SEC championship game, or you find yourself in the college football playoff, then let's see what happens. And Stetson Bennett used to do a little bit of that too, man. He used to put the ball in harm's way. He was a true old school gunslinger, in my opinion. But he made up for that by making big plays down the stretch, and mostly they made up for it because at every other position they're better than you.
Dude, Stetson's a lot better
could run.
Yeah,
Stetson could run too. Like that's another thing. People sleep on Stetson's ability to run. There were so many drives that he extended by just breaking contain and taking off. But we had a pretty good day betting yesterday. Locks, guys. Locks were fantastic. I had both my locks and both my leans on our locks, leans, and dogs yesterday. But if you want to get in on the action, you can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use our code BOOSTER, BOOSTER, and new customers can get $200 in bonus bets instantly when they bet just $5 on NFL football, which we've got coming up today. Super duper excited about that. That's only on DraftKings Sportsbook with our code BOOSTER, BOOSTER. Blaine, I know you won some coin yesterday. I threw a bag on Army the other night once I realized that Frank Harris wasn't playing.
There's so many points in that game.
There was even with Warburger or Whataburger, whatever that quarterback's name was that came in for UTSA. I thought he did a pretty good job. But go to DraftKings, and even if you're not a new customer, they're offering deals. I mean, go look at some of the promos on the NFL today. You got some fantastic stuff over there. We're always throwing out parlays as well. So go to DraftKings Sportsbook. Use our code Booster, BOOSTER. Make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. Hit that like button. If you're in the chat, make sure you hit that like button. Real quick, guys, I know we got to get to the NFL. Colorado State. David, starting with you. What are your thoughts on it?
Colorado State.
Yeah.
Man, just a thrilling football game. It was truly spectacular to watch. And like we had talked about on Friday, if you're Jay Norvell and you're coming out and you're opening your mouth and you're going to open this like opportunity for the game to get personal, like how do you follow that up? Because then if you go and you get blown out, now it's even worse, especially on the recruiting trail over the course of the next year. But man, they came in with a chip on their shoulder. Even more so, they came in like Colorado to me came in those first couple games and really outplayed Colorado for most of the game. But you make some mistakes late, and I thought it was interesting on that 4th and 2 call. I was wondering if Jay Norvell at the end of the game was going to go for it, if he was going to punt. They decide to punt and they get it down to the 2-yard line. I mean, you can't ask for any better than that, and Shedeur Sanders with 2 minutes, you just felt like 2 minutes with 2 timeouts, like he was just going to come back and make big plays down the stretch. That's exactly what he did. They get the 2-point conversion and send it to overtime, and the rest is history. So my biggest thing is, at first I was thinking, okay, Colorado clearly plays better as the hunter than as the hunted. But then I thought, they're still finding ways to win. 3 different weeks now, they found 3 different ways to win. And what else can you say about a team than they find ways to win? And to me, that starts with Deion Sanders. That starts with the head coach. Obviously, Travis Hunter now is going to be out a couple weeks, so he's going to miss Oregon and USC, it sounds like. But look, 3-0. 3-0.
Yeah. Blaine?
Look, it's just – Norvell, you come out and you talk about respect, right? You come out and you talk about discipline, right? Colorado State, y'all had 17 penalties.
Mm-hmm.
17. Y'all gave them this game. If you watch this game, they gave them to the amount of personal fouls. I haven't seen the amount of personal fouls in this game, and I can't tell you when. So the discipline wasn't there. I love the back and forth like a rivalry game should be, but good for Colorado. I mean, what a comeback. You go 98 yards with a minute some change and get the 2-point conversion. Good for Prime. Everybody showed up. All the stars showed up. It was basically like the Emmys. It was great what you have doing there. Now you have all this buildup, which is great. You're doing your job to go get mopped. They're going to get mopped. After what I just saw between the tackles and watch Colorado State run mesh for 4 quarters and watch Colorado not adjust, Oregon's going to drop a 60-piece without Travis Hunter. And I don't mind. Look, you keep talking crap, there's a bounty on your head, buddy. You keep talking, a bounty will appear. And this isn't HBCU. People want to beat what Travis Hunter has. They want that. They want what Shedeur has. They want that. They want the limelight. So you're putting money on your head. So don't be surprised when people come out here and do dirty stuff like they did to Travis Hunter. Colorado, it's great. Deion, you're already surpassed what you even need to do, but you're about to walk into the real thing. All right. And we're going to see how long this keep hyping Colorado up, storm the field when we're a 23-point favorite.
Yeah. 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 No, first off, look, I get you're excited. You just beat a group of 5 team. You're 25-point favorite over. And I had someone on social media, they're like, oh, well, it's a rivalry game, and Colorado hadn't been that good lately. Okay, so if y'all play Colorado School of Mines, like y'all going to storm the field, then you might as well storm it for every win now. And look, I'm all for having fun. Y'all beat Nebraska last week. Look, Nebraska hadn't been good for a long time. But, hey, guess what? It's Nebraska. That's a rival. Storm the field. Love it. Enjoy it. Embrace it. You have to cherish it. But Colorado State was a better team, I thought, for most of that game. But guess what? They weren't the better team in the last 2 minutes. And I think you got to take your hat off to Shedeur. I think you got to take your hat off to Shad. I think you got to take your hat off to the Colorado players, like Cone said, for winning in multiple ways. That's what the best teams do. Now, Colorado's not the best team, but they are punching way above their weight starting out 3-0. Because again, it's the same story up front. They're not great up front, not even close to great. And you're going to see that. That's going to be exposed very heavily in this Oregon game. And make no mistake, they will use that Dan Lanning quote, oh, what has Colorado done in this conference? Sometimes it just doesn't matter. Like sometimes science is science. but somebody wants to put them in their place, right? And Oregon is the first legit team that the difference in talent level is so wide, especially up front where it matters the most. I think you're going to see some coaches try and rub their face in it like a puppy that went to the bathroom in the living room.
Yeah, well, that's what we've been saying. But again, now all of a sudden Colorado goes back to the hunter, right? And like, are they going to play better? They clearly play better in that role. On the penalties, obviously, Blaine, you're right about 17 penalties is just too much. But I did get a feeling, especially in the first half, that some of those penalties were worth the trade-off to set the tone of the game. Now, I'm not saying like the dirty shots and some of the cheap stuff and fighting on the sidelines. Like you just can't do that consistently and be able to win a football game. But I did think Colorado was at least trying to set the tone of, no, you don't have a monopoly on swag. You don't have a monopoly on talking and coming out here and playing, physical football. And then in the second half, I was like, now you have to go away from that because you have the lead. Okay. You have the lead and you can't cost yourself late in the game. But the biggest thing to me, and I wanted to ask you guys as coaches, you go back, this game got forced into overtime, right? Colorado has to come down the field 98 yards and hit a 2-point conversion just to tie it. Colorado State took the lead in this game 3-0. And there was a penalty on Colorado's side. Colorado State accepts it to get the first down, takes the 3 points off the board, and then comes the pick six. So technically at the end of that, Colorado's up 7-0. Are you guys going to leave the points on the board, which is something that's kind of like an unwritten rule of football? Are you going to leave the points on the board, go up 3-0 and enforce the penalty on the kickoff, or are you going to take the first down?
I'm taking the first down.
Yeah. Well, it depends. Is that if that penalty gives me a first down, then I'm going to accept penalty. If that penalty, if that penalty took it from 4th and 7 to 4th and 2, and maybe
it gave him a first down.
I would. I'm just giving both scenarios. Like that's which one I would choose. If it gives you an automatic first down, I'm trying to go get the 7. I just thought that was unfortunate.
Yeah, and I think if they leave those points on the board, they probably win that game the way it played out.
David, I do get swag. Look, I get it. I get it to a certain extent, but you set the tone during the whistle. That's when you set the tone. You set the tone the entire game. And a couple, that's fine. You want to get a couple, that's fine. 2 or 3, pretty sure they had 9. You can't
9 penalties or 9 personal fouls.
9 personal foul penalties.
Yeah, you're not going to win a lot of football. That's like what I said with Georgia Southern's quarterback.
17 penalties, and I'm pretty sure 9 of them were personal foul penalties.
It was personal foul. Real quick though, David, you talk about them being the hunter. Listen, when you're the hunter going playing Nebraska, which is like a wounded antelope, like running along that can't catch a snap, that's one thing, right? When you're the hunter and you're here playing TCU, which is defense it was made in a Swiss cheese factory. It's got more holes than Camp Green Lake. That's another thing. Now you're trying to go kill a rhino with a slingshot. Like that's at some point, like, and without Travis Hunter, pun intended, like at some point, like, it's like, yeah, man, it's like, like the Little Giants, I know they ended up, winning the game somehow, but in real life, they get destroyed.
Yeah,
like
I just want to see everyone's reaction when Colorado gets beat by 30.
Yeah, that's what I want to see. If I'm Oregon, I'm storming the field. I'm 100% storming the field. But Blaine, let's storm the chat real quick before we get to a quick NFL preview and then get
Let's go to Micaiah Wiersma, $5 donation. Appreciate it, Micaiah. What kind of sanction/punishment should be brought against Jay Norvell and Colorado State for the clear bounty that was placed on Travis Hunter?
Well, listen,
something.
Yeah, something.
Don't do that.
Yeah, you got to be
not enough.
You got to be able to prove it, right? First off, and it's tough to prove. We've seen this with the Saints. You could prove that. They were like sending texts like, "Hey, I will give you $2,500 if you decapitate this guy during the game. Like, if you take him out of the game." If they have proof of it. Because if that's the case, then you're going to have to start finding people for it. It's going to turn to the NFL. Like you get a FedEx of, oh, well, you hit this guy late. We're going to start finding college kids.
I'd rather you be thrown out for that than some half-ass targeting call.
Well, but like there shouldn't be bounties on guys, but we have to live in the real world. Like if you talk and you say all these things, somebody is coming to get you. Now, and it's not hey, let's sit down and talk about prices for taking out Travis Hunter like this is some sort of system. It's that this guy's been running his mouth about us, So this is a physical, doesn't make it right. I'm not saying it's right, but this isn't pickleball. Okay. Like there are ways physically to atone for things that people say. And again, it's not right. I'm not saying it's right, but this isn't the first time we've seen this, and this isn't the last time we've seen it. So it just,
and it's the optics of it too. I mean, obviously it was clearly late, right? But then it also it happens to be on one of the stars of the team, the two-way player. I mean, look, at the very least, it's a penalty, and they did call a penalty on that. And the thing that makes it even worse from an optics side is that then Travis Hunter goes out of the game. Now, I know he came back in. I don't know how many plays he actually played when he came back in, but clearly whatever he's dealing with right now is a result of that, which makes it far worse.
All right, let's go to Trevor Canifax with a $5 donation. Appreciate it, Trevor. He says, Blaine is mid, PJ's the GOAT, and Missouri is underrated. Wow, no one believes that, especially when you say PJ's the GOAT. Let's go to Sean Ketchever.
Wow, I'm so glad that Justine's father's in the chat.
Yeah, I know. Why's your dad in here, Justine? Let's go to Sean Ketchever, the $3 donation. What's up, Shawnee? Beeves and Cougs are both 3-0 in the Pac-2 is strong. Beeves and Cougs, that's two of my favorite things.
Yeah,
the fact too.
I love both those things so much.
Man,
wow.
That Oregon State San Diego State game was ugly, dude. Oh God, it was ugly. It was like Lena Dunham just in a bikini, just hideous.
All right, let's go to Coffee Guy with a $2 donation. What do y'all think of OU now? 5 picks yesterday. Hey, Coffee Guy. I have them going 11-1. So what do you
I got them going
of
10-2, playing and having a hell of a year. Like I've believed in Venables. I was one of the few, the proud, the believers.
Let's go to Chris. Let's go to Christopher Ard with the $2 donation. Appreciate it, Chris. It's like, what do you think the spread will be for the OU Texas game?
Oh God, spread is me on the couch watching that game, loving it. That's what the spread's going to be.
Right this second. Would it be a pick 'em?
I'd go Texas
I would say Texas 3.5.
3.5. That's so much.
-3.
I don't know, man. I think that's
over. Hey, whatever the over under is,
I think it's going to get under a field goal by the time we get there, man. Neutral site too. Red River shootout.
I cannot wait. Which is, guys, let me just read you this slate for next week. Okay, let me just read it to you. Florida State, Clemson. Ole Miss at Bama. UCLA at Utah. Colorado at Oregon. Arkansas at LSU. Oregon State at Washington State. Ohio State at Notre Dame.
Yes.
Iowa at Penn State. UCF at Kansas State. And I believe we have Auburn at Texas A&M. Guys, I'm telling you right now, and there's some games I didn't even mention. Iowa at Penn State. Texas at Baylor. I mean, goodness gracious, dude. Like, I mean, hell.
We're going to know a lot more after next weekend.
We're going to know a lot more after next week.
A lot more.
How much do you think that Boston College game of Florida State had to do with them playing Clemson the next week? I think it had a little bit.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah, you can't say it didn't. Plus, you're on the road. All the factors that we already mentioned, but just the way I saw Boston College play those first 2 weeks, I thought that Florida State would cover. But yeah, I mean, Buckeyes Irish, man, we're going to know a lot more.
Oh man, I picked Notre Dame to win that early.
We're going to get a lot of answers.
I not pick the over in Ohio State, Western Kentucky.
I mean, Washington State, Oregon State. You said is next week.
Washington State, Oregon State, Oklahoma at Cincinnati. Even though Cincinnati, I told you, wouldn't be crazy. Sprinkle a little bit on Miami, Ohio, plus 14.5, and then go beat Cincinnati.
That would have been a good dog pick right there.
All right, let's go to CG87343 with a $5 donation. Appreciate it, CG. He says, thank you for the explanation. I was really buffaloed by that timeout call. Didn't make any sense in the moment. Let's go to Beef Eater NDO8, $5 donation. If Notre Dame pulls out a W versus Ohio State this week, can you recommend a troll handle I can use on the Ohio State boards? UM knows how OSU fans suck the fun out of the room.
How about butt eyes?
I love it. We will give you a troll handle to walk in there and you have a good time. You roam in that space. Let's go to
cheeseburger.
Yes. Let's go to JT Brown with a $5 donation. Florida State and Alabama got a taste of reality. Facts.
Big facts.
I mean, yeah, look, I'd be a lot more worried about Alabama right now than Florida State. I think that's one of these games we look back on, and Florida State just wasn't prepared to play. And look, they've struggled somewhat with mobile quarterbacks. Jane Daniels didn't attack the deep third of the field, but he had success running against them. Cade Klubnik, I know he's not the most athletic, but if Clemson's smart, they're going to try and run Cade as much as they can, or at least get it to the point where they're attacking the perimeter, because they ain't got a whole hell of a lot else. Will Shipley's out there. If you'd have told me that Clemson and Georgia would both have a white running back that's playing, I'd have looked at you like you had 4 arms grown out of the top of your head. But, I mean, it's going to be interesting next week, that's for sure.
All right, let's go to Garth Cassidy. What's up, Gareth, for the $5 donation? Says, Jake, you should listen to the Notre Dame commentators. They suck, too.
Yeah, it can't be as bad as Rod Gilmore. I'm just telling you. I've never caught on fire before. Like, I've never been lit on fire. Like, I don't know I've been burnt before, like quickly, my hand burnt, taking it out of the oven. But I've never actually been lit on fire. And I can imagine it's really painful. But I still feel like I would take being set ablaze over having to listen to Rod Gilmore call full quarters of a game. Like, I really would. I really, really
okay,
honestly
so let me
would.
get this right. I just want to make sure I'm picking up what you're putting down. All right. You would rather be set on fire.
Yes.
Full body flame.
Yes.
Full body flame. Than listen to Rod Gilmore commentate a game.
I think it would be less painful in the long run.
If only we knew a dragon that could help him out with that.
I know.
Well,
like again, or I mean, I would rather be walking.
Did we put this to the test?
Through woods. No, listen, I already ate that hot chip.
We have a flamethrower.
Yeah.
In the studio.
But honestly though, I would actually, I probably would take having to fight off a pack of wild dogs before being set on fire.
What type of dogs are we talking about here, though?
I'm talking about wild dogs.
We're talking like pit bulls?
No, there's not packs of pit bulls roaming the streets.
There is packs of pit bulls.
I know. I'm talking about like true German Shepherd.
What?
Yeah.
You fight a pack of German Shepherds?
I would rather.
How is that
rather be cornered in an alley in Boston by a pack of German Shepherds and have to fight my way out than listen to Rod Gilmore call BYU.
I'm pretty sure they made a movie with Liam Neeson about that.
Yeah, and a sequel. They made the sequel first.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Troy Jacobs with a $5 donation. Big week, Troy. Big week. Ha, 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 ha. So much for Colorado being an awesome team. Y'all think the MSN will remove their faces from Dion and Colorado's bum?
No, they won't.
No. I just want to see the reaction if Oregon really does win this game by like 40 points. I want to see what it is.
Talking about how great Colorado did.
Yeah, they're going to be like, God, Lee, they didn't lose by 41. Tell you what.
Let's go to Chase Mills with a $10 donation. That's what I've been doing my whole life. Mr. Jake Crane, on behalf of OU, we will allow you one chance to. Can I read this, guys? All right.
We wish you would.
All right, on behalf of OU, we will allow you one chance to change your Bedlam pick. Boomer Sooner.
Oh, Bedlam, 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 boys.
They said me?
Yeah.
I don't know. I had Oklahoma State winning Bedlam, and they lost to South Alabama.
Yeah.
Look, that's the whole
USA.
No, but that's the whole point. That's the whole point. That should scare you even more if you're an Oklahoma fan. You'd rather Oklahoma State kind of come in good so that Oklahoma doesn't overlook that. I'm just telling you, Oklahoma State's sitting there like, wow, y'all really going to leave the conference and y'all don't want to play us anymore and you're looking down on us and we're little brother.
Well,
okay, we got
worried about that. You're worried about beating South Alabama.
Maybe that's the reason. Maybe there's only one game they're worried about this year and they're out here getting blown out by South Alabama.
Look. I don't know a lot of things in this world. Okay.
Facts.
I don't know what the Statue of Liberty is made out of. I don't know what to do with math once they start putting different letters in it. But I do know this. Mike Gundy's 40. Okay.
He's a man.
He's a man.
He is a man.
And I would not be shocked if Oklahoma State lost every game and then somehow found a way to win that.
That's what I'm talking about. That's the kind of stuff that this college football season is setting up.
That's exactly right. I mean, you want to know why? It's personal. That's why.
And the wider the gap goes between when that game gets played, the scarier it should be if you're a Sooners fan.
That's exactly right. That's exactly
so Oklahoma
right.
fans, after you just heard that, you get all your money and you put on Oklahoma to cover that game.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. All right, let's get to an NFL preview real quick. Make sure, again, if you're not subscribed, you're watching, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We just hit over 100,000. Hit that like button too if you're in here. It's free. Like, again, unless you're like operating heavy machinery or something, I totally understand, or holding a child.
No, especially do that.
Yeah, then just wait to hit the like button after.
Yeah,
but we really appreciate it. Chat's absolutely blowing up. We really appreciate it, you guys. All right, let's get to the NFL. If you got fantasy questions, make sure you get them in here. Here's what we'll start with. Green Bay at Atlanta. No Aaron Jones. No Christian Watson. Could Desmond Ridder, who I'm not sold on. I do like Tyler Algiers anytime touchdown, though. How are we feeling here? Little Falcons, Packers.
A little Falcons home dog, man. I think Falcons home dog here could be a good pick.
Falcons are a dog in this game?
Yeah,
aren't they?
What's the line? Let me have the lines pulled up. Because hold on. Here's what I'm about to do. I'm about to use science and math and put it together right here to the side. Here we go. Falcons are a 3-point favorite.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
What's the money line?
Give me the Falcons. Low scoring.
I don't like them as much now that they're not a dog.
I really like, even without Aaron Jones and Watson, I like the Packers in this game as road dogs. I just don't
plus 130 on the money line. Blaine.
I don't believe in Desmond Ridder, guys. Bijan's an absolute problem. We knew he was going to be, but I just do not believe in that. I think Love looked good in week 1. I think this is going to be a close game, but I like the Packers.
Yeah, I definitely don't like minus 165 for Atlanta value.
Well, look, I mean, I think it's going to be a tight game. I think the Falcons end up kicking a field goal. My old girl messed up, but I'm not going to make that joke about their kicker. No, I like the Falcons with the
Georgia Southern grad too.
Georgia Southern grad, yes, know the way, the young way.
Vegas at Buffalo.
Okay, doesn't this just feel like the Bills strike back? Like they're pissed about last week.
You're sitting at plus 8.5.
I mean,
man, it's just
I have it 7.5.
Yeah, I got a 7.5 right here. Over under 47. Like I don't know, man. This just I feel like the Bills are going to win the game. That number, that's a big number for me, especially the way that the Raiders, it wasn't beautiful offensively last week, but with Myers, I know he got beat up. I need to see that. The injury report's going to tell a lot because Devontae Adams was questionable this week, but hell, I'm questionable this week. Like everybody.
I am too, actually. Yeah. Bounce back week, man. Let's find out what Buffalo's made of. Are they going to keep showing some of these faults that they've shown early? Yeah, that's a big one. All right, Baltimore at Cincinnati. I mean, Cincinnati played as bad as you could play last week. A lot of people were talking about the weather, but they kind of start like this all the time, don't they? Just like play bad at the beginning of the year.
They struggle against the Browns. They've always struggled.
It's weird.
It's a weird matchup for them.
Ohio matchup.
I don't think the Ravens played great either.
No, they didn't. Lamar looked awful.
But guess who's back?
Zay Flowers looked good.
But guess who's back? The one and only Mark Andrews will be returning to the field for the Ravens, who's a top 2 tight end in fantasy. He's a top 2 tight end in the league. I do like the Bengals in this game. I think the Bengals back Joey B and the boys. But I do think I like the over 45.5 in this game. I think there's going to be some points.
I like both those as well.
Look, there were so many unders betters. Listen to this. There were so many unders that hit in week 1. The NFL does not want unders. Do not be shocked if you see more defensive penalties this week than you've seen in a long time, because that league is run on fantasy and betting, and they want overs. They want points. They want excitement. There's going to be a lot of defensive penalties. So don't think just because week 1 it was ugly. You had a lot of people that didn't play in the preseason, like Joe Burrow. I'm just telling you, don't be lulled to sleep by that. Give me the
Seattle at Detroit.
I like Seattle recovering.
Man, I don't know. Like, how they handle prosperity? How did the Lions handle prosperity?
Like after the way the Seahawks played against the Rams, you got to remember, like the Seahawks, like the second quarter, both their tackles went out, and it just went downhill from there. And the Rams dominated, but I think you're not going to see that same Seahawks team. I think Geno's going to have a better day. I feel like it's kind of a tough matchup for the Lions from the secondary standpoint. But I do think the Lions are going to win. I just like y'all got it at +5 for the Seahawks?
No, +4.5.
Okay, I played up to +5. By that half a point, played up to +5, just so maybe you can, if you do, you can push.
I like the Lions. Let's keep the train going.
Yeah, I do
Yeah,
too.
I feel like a
kinda
lot
like
of
the
people are
over
going to
in
be
this
laying
game.
money down the Lions.
Kind of like the
All
over
right.
in this game, 47.
Right here in Nashville, Chargers come to the Titans.
No Austin Eckler?
No
see that
Austin
right?
Eckler, and I have him on my fantasy team.
Golly, give me the Titans.
This is +2.5 Titans.
Yeah, plus I like Titans money line here. Look, I don't believe in Ryan Tannehill. You don't believe in Ryan Tannehill. I don't even think Ryan Tannehill believes in Ryan Tannehill. Look, Kelly's a good back for the Chargers. I know they offensively look good last week, but I think the Titans going to be able to run the ball. I think they're going to be able to set the tone and really run the clock. Make this. I actually like the under in this game, as crazy as it sounds, at 45.5, even with what the Chargers did last week. I think Tennessee's game translates well against a team like the Chargers. Not that I think the Chargers are overly finesse, but I think just I think it's just a bad matchup on the road after a loss by the Titans, which Tannehill again missed a bunch of wide open guys. At the end of the day, give me Tennessee at home.
Yeah, I like the Titans in this game. Styles make fights, baby, and the front seven for the Chargers is not great. And so if you have Derrick Henry in fantasy, congratulations.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like the best thing I can do for Tennessee is to take the other team. So yeah, I'm just going to take the Chargers and just
now I'm
help
the whole
Titans, Dave.
I know that's my point. And anytime I take Tennessee at anything, mostly Volunteers, but I think Titans too, they lose. So let's try it out here. I'm going to go the other side.
Like
Chargers.
Like
All right, Bears at Bucks.
Man, the Bears looked so bad up front last week, and the Bucks are good on defense.
The
Bucks are legit on defense. I picked the Buccaneers in my survival league after taking the Ravens week 1 and surviving. I think this is one where I probably wouldn't pick the Buccaneers in a lot of games. This would be one of them. Justin Fields, just don't do me dirty, dog. Like, don't have this game where you run for like 240, right? And close your eyes and throw it to DJ Moore. Just don't think the Bears are very good. Matt Eberflus or Horton Hears a Who or whatever Dr. Seuss book coach they got, whatever it is.
Matt
give me the Bucks. Yeah, there's an Eberflus in next to the caboose.
Let's go, Baker.
Which one I'm gonna choose.
Let's go, Baker. Come on, baby. Believe.
Believe. I got Buccaneers money line.
Yeah, I'm on the Bucks money line too. All right, man. The most intriguing matchup in the 1 o'clock window to me: Kansas City going on the road to Jacksonville, and it's -3.5 Chiefs right now.
I have to take the Jaguars +3.5, right?
No, Jake.
I like that pick.
You take
Why
the
not?
Jaguars. You take the Jaguars money line.
Oh, wow.
+140.
0-2, Blaine?
That's what you do. Corey, it's time, baby. We're finally going to do it. Jags, money line, Trevor Lawrence.
Really? With Travis and Chris Jones coming back.
Little ETN, big weekend, on a big win on a Saturday. Older ETN, big win on a Sunday.
How do we feel? How do we feel?
Zay Jones, please.
Yeah, how do we feel about the over 50.5?
Love it. Smash it.
Smash it.
I like
that
it
may be
too.
one of my show bets.
Yeah, I like the over 2. Chiefs win by 2. All right, Colts at the Texans. Battle of the rookie QBs.
Sorry,
Colts.
this game makes me want to puke.
Give me
the Texans. Texans at home. CJ Stroud.
Is Anthony starting?
Why wouldn't
Is
he
AR
be?
starting?
Why wouldn't he be?
I don't know. Let me call him.
I thought he was hurt last week at the end.
Got nicked up. I don't think it's
Okay.
I feel like if he wasn't started, they'd probably be favorited more, right?
Look, I'm absolutely staying away from this game. The over-under's at 39.5. I don't know. This one just smells funny. But it's always fun to watch two rookie quarterbacks battle it out. Here's a real question. Anthony Richardson just saw Florida beat Tennessee yesterday. Okay. Won a big game with Graham Mertz at quarterback.
With the shorts.
With the shorts and the sports. But is this one of those games where he feels like he's got to go out and show them why he should still be held in high regard?
I don't know. I feel like you did that when you got picked 4th in the NFL draft.
Well, I'm just saying. I'm not talking about like really in reality the way we look at it, the way he thinks about it, right? Because these guys all have
make a
egos.
statement.
Yeah, like these guys all have egos. Is he?
Dude, doesn't it look like he's descending into the sun right now?
They're coming to get him. Talk about Skyhook.
Talking about, the light, the way the light.
Talking about Skyhook.
You're slowly disappearing on the camera.
Hold on.
Bye.
Hey, but no, hey. Y'all want my lock? You want my lock for the day?
Give me your lock.
I got big money on this game, boys. So when you're watching it, I need you to be rooting for me. 49ers -6.5 against the Rams.
What do you have? The Niners?
-6.5. I took the Rams. I took the 49ers, excuse me, -6.5.
I don't know about this one, Blaine.
It's the Rams
this one
on the road and Brock Purdy over 1.5
No, it's not.
touchdown.
No, it's not. It's in LA. It's the 49ers on the road. That's why this one's starting to smell a little. Now, look, they're still going to be. There's Rams fans talk about this all the time.
You didn't know where they were playing it at.
No, I knew it was.
Okay. No, and there'll be more 49ers fans in that stadium. Like they travel and that's all. And I'm not saying the Rams are going to win the game, but man, it's just this one's starting to smell a little bit interesting, especially with some of the things we talked about last week with the Rams. You know, they graded out top 10 on the offensive line. what's his name? Nakoa.
Yeah, he's hurt.
Yeah. Nakua. Is he out though?
Out?
I don't know.
Is he officially out?
Questionable.
Gotcha. This one seems a little bit more interesting to me now.
I feel like it seems interesting. You watch what the Rams did last week, and then I thought that too, and then I just looked at the 49ers roster.
You're really good.
And it's I don't know how Matt is going to be running for his life the entire game. They're so
you got one of those Bosa brothers that all they did was just get Spike from Little Giants, just got their calves rubbed with warm milk every night.
Yeah, the Bosa bro, he's been kicking trees in the forest the last 4 days, waiting. And look, Brock Dirty Purdy's out there doing it too now.
Look, Brock's out here.
He is.
They got Haru, the Great White Ninja, at running back.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's my lock. I like Brock Purdy over 1.5 touchdowns, too. You want to get the donations? You want to roll through the slate somewhere?
Yeah, let's just roll. Giants, Cardinals. Who y'all got?
Giants.
Whoever's not watching it.
Yeah. Jets at the Cowboys.
Cowboys,
right?
Cowboys murder.
Yeah, Zach Wilson, who I think low-key would be really fun to hang out with, but I think they're going to get murdered. Commanders at the Broncos. Interesting game here. Denver. This is one of my best bets. I kind of like Denver -2.5.
Give me the Broncos.
Down a point.
You said
Sean
this
Payton's
is who?
first win.
Broncos.
Against who?
The Redskins.
Commanders.
Redskins. What's this line at?
-3.5 Broncos.
God. Someone give me a towel. I'm wet. I'm wet for Sam Howell. Give me the Commanders. Let's go.
Wow. All right. Miami at New England.
Ooh, God.
Over 46?
I don't know, man.
The
this
Patriots
seems
are
like
really
one of
good
those
on
ones
where they hold the Dolphins 8 points.
Look, the way the Dolphins played, the way they played in against the Chargers, that type of football is not sustainable all season, especially on the road, especially when you're playing Bill Belichick. What's the word on Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle now? Is Jalen out?
They're really fast. I don't know.
What? No.
Yeah, I know they're fast. I watch them with my eyeballs. Are they? Is Jalen Waddle out?
I have not seen if he's out or not. Booster Club. Do we have a judgment on that? I need to know this. Jalen and Tyreek. Because the Dolphins -2.5 was my favorite bet of the weekend. I need to know these things. Get to donations, Blaine, and then it'll pop up, I'm sure.
I think they're going to play. All right, let's go to JT Brown, $5 donation. JT, thank you. South Carolina football. Spencer Rattler is a good QB on a crap team. Cade Klubnik is a crap QB on a good team.
I mean, good. I would leave Clemson at good. I would not use the word great right now. For Clemson, when you look at that skill position, but I would much rather have Spencer Rattler than Cade Klubnik. JT, I agree.
That's a great answer. Let's go to Jimbo Eagle with a $2 donation. He says, "Bring on the chaos in the ACC. Bring it on, Jimbo." Like chaos.
Yeah. North Carolina, nice win over Minnesota. Handled business in a game that Drake May's so good. I watched that game. He's so good. It's just
go to Travis Johnson, the second $5 donation. Appreciate it, Travi. Big win, South Alabama. War Eagle. Love the show. Love you, Travi. Come on,
Travi.
Baby.
How about South
USA.
Alabama? We go out
donation.
to T-Boons and we take that bread.
Kristen with the $5 donation. Jake is mid. Blaine is the GOAT. And Tuscaloosa is on fire. Love you guys. Love the show. All joke aside, I get all my friends to watch. Keep it up. Tristan, appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Tristan. Appreciate it, buddy.
Let's go to Tyler Jarvis, $5 donation. Tyler, thank you. Gilmore is bad. but Gary Daniels is the worst announcer ever.
I would rather
Love
have
you
Gary
guys.
Daniels
Love the
screaming
show.
in my ear for an hour than have to listen to the echo of Rod Gilmore from 100 miles away. Like
That's
Rod
the theme of
Rod
today's
Gilmore,
show.
Listen, if 200,000 years from now, they're gonna like find like a one of those things buried in like the forest somewhere, like a tablet, and just scribbled on it. They'll be like, oh, there must have been an ancient civilization here that was here 200,000 years ago. And oh no, what caused the apocalypse? Rod Gilmore calling a football game. That's what caused it.
I just got a Brock McNeil with a $10 donation. Appreciate it, Brock. Just joining live, so not sure if y'all said anything about it, but you know what is mid? Colorado storming the field after beating a team that only won 3 games last year.
Yeah,
there you go.
Storm Nebraska, great. Beating Colorado State. Like, what are you gonna like? Somebody gets 50% off something at the grocery store. You're gonna storm the grocery store now? They only allow that in California. Sorry.
Let's go to CCM28 with a $5 donation. Appreciate it. RG3 is a hit or miss on the mic. Sometimes we feel like he's trying to beat Gus Johnson too much. How about UNLV beating Vandy? Yeah, I'm telling you, Gus Johnson.
I just had to mute it. I had to mute the Alabama
Gus did the
game.
Colorado game last night, right?
Well, like you had a mixture of RG3 and
Mark Jones,
like the camera angles, because they wouldn't let ESPN's camera guys go. It was like I was watching it from like a different planet. Sometimes RG3 says things that are funny to me, but he just does it too much.
I know.
Like there's
I just had to mute it because at some point I was like trying to be invested in the flow of this game and see if Alabama was really going to lose to South Florida. I'm like, I just don't have the energy for RG3 right now.
Yeah. He was like, and Hale makes the catch. That was a hail of a catch. All
right, boys. I believe that is all the donations.
All right.
What a fun weekend, boys.
Fun weekend, boys. Hey, we're live in the morning, 6:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central. Check us out. It stays on YouTube, the Daily Wire, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Like I said, if you didn't hit that like button or if you haven't hit that subscribe button, please do it. We appreciate it. At 7:30 a.m. Eastern to 9 a.m. Eastern, live in the morning. We've got a ton to review. We're taking live calls every day. We have the live chat every day. So look, if you enjoy, sports talk the way it should be, make sure you hit us up. But parting thoughts, Blanye?
Fantasy team, please. Please. 49ers in fantasy, please. All right. That's all.
Oh, you're still invested? You still care?
About
See, I don't care anymore. My heart's just broken on the fantasy team. Austin Eckler's out today. I'm checked out.
League I'm in,
I'm checked out.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is my quarterback.
Yeah.
So now I got Jared Goff, the gumball smuggler, aka Chipmunk Cheeks, out there trying to just find answers. Which look, he could.
I love that you still care though, Blaine, and your team. Trust me, at 11:59, I'll start caring again too. That minute right before red zone hits, when the countdown clicker comes on.
Yeah,
I'll be like, maybe we have a chance.
Coney, parting thoughts?
I'm playing Jake in one league this week. Parting thoughts, man. Look, let's just go have a nice little Sunday, boys.
Yeah,
for sure.
Nice
the steaks look good yesterday, Con.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
they looked really good. But
appreciate.
All right, well, we appreciate you guys. Make sure you check out the live show. Make sure you subscribe. Like I said, we got a great slate of games this weekend. We had a great slate of games this past weekend as well, and it always delivers. We'll check you guys out in the morning live tomorrow, only on Crane & Company. Disappear.